everyone, and welcome back to Lady Red Crafting. My name is Katie. With Easter just around the corner, today we're sharing some fun and easy spring and Easter craft ideas. Let's jump right in and get crafting. Let's transform these two Dollar Tree signs and make a beautiful decor piece for the spring. I'm going to start out by taking this porch sign and I'm going to put it onto a paintable surface. We're going to flip this over and remove the hanger. I will be reusing the hanger, so I'm going to save that aside. Next, I grab my heat tool and I'm going to take a scraping tool and just remove the sticker from the back side of this sign. And once the sticker is removed, I did go ahead and sand this down to make sure everything was nice and smooth. And now that our piece is prepped, we're going to grab our Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and I'm going to just paint 2 coats of paint over the top of this piece. Now while this is drying, I went back to my other sign and I deconstructed it and removed the letters and that cute little flower. And I did use the bunny in a recent craft, so if you'd like to see that, I'll put the card for it right here. Go ahead and save that to watch after you've seen this video. So next, I'm just going to take some painter's tape, and I flipped all of the letters over and added the painter's tape. And this is going to allow for me to add this onto a piece of cardboard to make it really easy to paint the tops and the sides of each of these letters. So I decided to go a little bit bold on these letters, and I'm using the color Aqua by Folk Art, and I'm going to paint all of these letters on the top and along the sides because you'll still see them on the sign. Now let's go back to that little flower, and I wanted to take that flower and I'm just going to tape it down to a paintable surface here, and I'm taking that same aqua colored paint. And we're going to paint the center of the flower that aqua color just to tie the letters right in. Now while all that paint is drying, I grabbed the little pick that I found at the Dollar Tree, and it's kind of like a greenery with a little bit of yellow balls all over it, and I just liked the spring look that this had. And I'm going to cut 4 little pieces off of this and make a cute swag. And if you've never made one of these before, they're super simple. You just go ahead and you grab some floral tape and you're going to take your picks. And I'm just going to wrap this up using the floral tape. And I'm going to wrap 2 of the picks together to start. And then I'll wrap the other 2 and then connect them. And now that our beautiful swag is all ready to go, let's go ahead and make a cute bow. I'm going to use this fun ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I think this has to be one of my favorite ribbons that they carry most of the time all year round. It is just a nice polka dotted burlap ribbon, and I find that it goes with a lot of different things and is a fairly high quality product for a Dollar Tree item. So what you see me doing is I am cutting 4 strips that are 12 inches in length. Now with 3 of these strips, I'm going to make a loop. And all I'm going to do is use a little bit of hot glue to attach the loop together. Once we have all of our loops made, I take that 4th strip and I'm going to kind of fold it in a way to make it look like a V. And then I grab the ribbon again and I just cut another small strip that was about 2 inches in length. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab my loops and I'm going to just squish them together and make a really pretty bow. And I'm just going to hold that together in the center with my thumb and my index finger until I am happy with how it looks. And that V is going to be our little tails for our bow. And I'm using a small piece of pipe cleaner, but you could also tie this together with a string. And I'm going to wrap that around the center and then go ahead and tighten that as best as I can. Then I do a quick little fluff of the bow. Now to cover up that pipe cleaner, I'm going to take that other piece of ribbon here and I'm going to fold it into thirds. And then all I do is I wrap that around the center of that pipe cleaner and I take it to the back and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and pinch it into place. And now you have a quick and easy bow. For the last step, all I did was I went ahead and I dovetailed the tails, but you could also diagonal cut them or just leave them the way that they are. Now going back to our original piece, we are going to take some Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle and just distress this board. And then we're just going to reattach the hanger. Now let's go ahead and add our letters. First, I'm going to just lay them out and just space them the way that I want. And I really like using this straight edge that I got from the Dollar Tree. It is probably one of my most used items from the Dollar Tree for doing crafts. It's kind of something that you don't think about buying, but once you buy it and have it, it is so amazing to have in your stash. Then I'm going to use this to just straighten out everything at the bottom for 1 inch. Now I'm going to grab my quick and thick Titebond glue, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back side of these letters. And I'm just going to use a paintbrush to help paint this on just to make sure it covers the whole entire thing. And once we have our first letter attached to our board, I'm just going to continue to repeat this step until I've attached all of the letters. And then I let this sit for about 20 minutes, and now I'm going to add the rest of our pieces. So let's start out by attaching the swag. So using some hot glue, I'm going to attach the swag right above the R and the I. Now we're going to grab our bow and let's fluff that out and then attach that right to the center of our swag. And now for our final touch, let's go ahead and hot glue that beautiful flower to the center of our bow. And wow, I just love how this sign turns out. It definitely is a step up from the Dollar Tree signs and gives a nice spring touch for your decor pieces. And if you like this piece, just hit that like button down below and let me know. Thanks! So you've probably all seen these wood cutouts at the Dollar Tree, and I absolutely love them. They are so versatile and so much fun to recreate. Now for my first step here, I am going to take a placemat, and this is one of the plastic placemats. I got this at the Dollar Tree in the summer or the spring of last year, and I used it for some Christmas decorations, and I had a little bit left over. And all I'm doing is I'm tracing the top part of this carrot on the back side of this placemat. However, the pencil doesn't go all the way in between all of those pieces on the placemat. So this is more of an estimate, and so you'll see what I do here in a few minutes. I am going to actually cut this into 3 small pieces to cover each one of the leaves. So as you can see here, I'm just going to use the top piece of this leaf, and then I'm going to cut smaller pieces out from the placemat. And I'm actually not going to cut them completely perfect. I'm just going to put them over the top of the other 2 leaves. And then I'm going to glue these pieces just right on top of the leaves of the carrot. So I'm taking some Titebond quick and thick glue, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And using a paintbrush, I'm just going to go ahead and coat the whole entire set of the leaves with the glue. Next, I'm going to add those pieces of the placemat over the top of that glue. And what I should have probably done from the beginning is just started with this step. Now, while that glue is drying, I'm going to go ahead and take some of those scraps from the placemat, and I'm just going to freehand 2 leaves. And if you haven't worked with these plastic placemats from the Dollar Tree, these are actually really easy to work with. It's more of like a foam texture, so it's a lot like working with foam, and they're so easy to cut. Now that our glue has dried, I'm going to go ahead and take my X-Acto knife, and I just flip the carrot over, and I'm just going to trim any excess pieces of the foam right off of the carrot. Next, I'm going to take those 2 leaves that we cut out earlier, and I'm just going to fit them over the top of the other 3 pieces of foam on the carrot. And then I'm just going to trim them so that it looks like there's 5 different branches coming out of that carrot. And once I get those trimmed up, I'll use my quick and thick glue and we'll go ahead and glue those into place. Now here is what our carrot looks like, and you could just leave it like this, but we're going to take it to another level. Next, we're going to grab my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and I'm going to paint the carrot with the white colored paint. Now, once the paint has completely dried, I am going to go ahead and grab my Mod Podge, and this time I'm going to use the glossy Mod Podge for this. And we're just going to paint a nice coat all over the bottom piece of this carrot. Now, while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and prep my napkin. And this napkin I found at the Dollar Tree. I think it was in like a pack of like 10 or 20. It wasn't a lot of napkins in there, but it was over in the party section, and I was really surprised to see this type of a napkin at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take a little piece of painter's tape, and I'm just going to remove the back layer of this napkin. Now on this napkin, the top corner quadrant was foiled, but the other 3 quadrants were not. And I really like that foil look. So we're going to cut that quadrant out, and we're going to use that for our carrot. So all we do here is we lay that piece of napkin over the top of the carrot, and I just kind of position it so that the swirls go the way that I would like. And once I have it into the place that I want, I put a piece of parchment paper over the top, press down lightly, and then I'm going to grab my heat press, and I'm just going to iron this down onto the carrot. And this heat press will just reactivate that Mod Podge so everything stays into place and there will be no wrinkles. Next, we just go ahead and remove that piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to take that same Mod Podge we used earlier, and we're going to do a nice top coat over the top of the carrot. Now, while we have a quick moment, I want to tell you all about this fun playlist I'm a part of this month, 5 Under 5, hosted by Emily from Farm Charm Cheek and Wendy from White Sparrow Living. This playlist is so fun. Everybody is creating 5 different items that all equal $5 or less per item. There is a link to the description in my description box for this playlist down below, and a link to these wonderful hosts. Please check them out and give them some love. Now back to our video. So once that Mod Podge has completely dried, I'm going to grab my zip sander, or a sanding block would be just fine, and I'm going to sand in a downward motion to remove any excess napkin. Now we could stop right here, but I wanted to add a gold bow. I had this ribbon left over from Christmas, and I think I got this on clearance at Walmart. And I'm just going to make a basic bow, and then I'm going to hot glue that right underneath the carrot stem. Now, I was thinking this carrot could be used in so many different ways. One of the things that I thought would be a great decor piece on a shelf sitter. But I also thought this could be something fun as a prize for finding the most eggs during an egg hunt, or you could actually hide the gold carrot for them to find during the egg hunt. Let me know what you guys think you would do with this gold carrot in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow. Thank you. Let's make some fun bunnies. I'm going to start out by using these foam balls that I got from the Dollar Tree. One of these is a 1.9 inch and the smaller ones are a 1.3 inch ball. I'm also going to be using some size 0 biscuits, and these are wood biscuits. I did get these at Lowe's, but if you don't have them, you can cut out little ears using cardboard. So I'm going to be using one of each of these foam balls and this twine that I got from the Dollar Tree. And this twine was in the nautical section last year, and I really just like the blue color on this twine. And this craft is super, super simple. All I'm going to be doing is I'm taking the twine, I'm going to be wrapping it around the foam balls. And once I'm satisfied with the wrapping, I just take a tiny bit of hot glue and I just glue the twine into place. And then I'll wrap the other ball. Now moving on to those wood biscuits, I am going to take a tiny bit of hot glue and I'm just going to place that on the wood biscuit, and then I'll start wrapping the twine around the biscuit. Now you'll see when I start wrapping the twine around the biscuit is that I leave the corner piece on the bottom of the biscuit bare, and I don't wrap any twine around that piece. And we kept it that way on purpose because that is what we're going to insert into our foam ball later. And so I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any twine on that piece. It'll make it a lot easier to glue that into place. And then we just repeat the same step on the other ear. And now that we have all of our pieces, let's put everything together. I grab a razor blade and I'm just going to cut a small little slit in the top of the smaller ball. And then I'll insert the ear just to make sure it's going to fit. And then I'll decide where I want the second slit for the second ear. And once I have the spots created for me to insert the ears, I'm going to take my hot glue and I'll just add a bead of hot glue inside. And then we'll add the ears and then hold them into place until everything is set. Now that our bunny head is complete, let's go ahead and take some hot glue and glue together the body to the head. And a bunny isn't complete without a little fuzzy tail, so we'll go ahead and add a pom-pom to the back for his tail. And now for our final embellishment, I'm going to add a bow. And I couldn't decide at first if I was going to do it as a bow tie or a hair accessory, but I decided to put it as a bow tie on him. Now with this bunny, I decided I wanted him to be more of an accessory for a flower pot or putting in a vase. So I'm going to add a skewer to the bottom to make it so it'll be easier to add him to different items. And here's an example of our bunny inside of a plant. I just love how this turns out. It is adorable. So we're going to make another bunny, but we're going to do it a little bit different. I am going to be using the same foam balls and the little biscuits from previously. But for this one, we're going to be coating them in reindeer moss. Let's start out by going ahead and attaching the two balls together, and I'm using the Fix All super glue that I can find at the Dollar Tree, but you could also use hot glue for this. And once everything is attached, I'm going to insert the biscuits into the foam balls. And first I'm going to insert them in, and then once I've inserted them in, I am going to remove them, add a little bit of hot glue, and then reinsert the ears. Now I want this bunny to be able to stand up. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take a little razor blade and just shave off a little bit of the styrofoam on the bottom ball. And once we've ensured that the little bunny is able to stand on his own, we're going to move on to our next step. Let's go ahead and grab the reindeer moss, and I'm going to grab a small container to make less of a mess. I only needed one bag of reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree, but what I did was I started out by taking about a quarter of the reindeer moss, and I just kind of spread it out a little bit, and just mixed it up and pulled it apart. I actually cut a few of the pieces as well, just to kind of give it more life. It was just really packed into that package from the Dollar Tree, and I just needed to lighten it up a little bit. And next is the messy part. I'm going to add the bunny to the container. I'm going to take my hot glue, and I am going to put a little bit of hot glue, add some moss, and repeat over and over again until the whole entire bunny is completely coated except for the bottom piece. And to prevent me from burning myself with the hot glue, I did take my makeup applicator and I was just pounding that moss right into the glue just to make sure everything stayed into place. Now, once everything except for the bottom where the bunny is going to be standing up is coated with moss, I'm going to take my scissors and give a quick little haircut and make sure everything looks great. Next, I had this small piece of scrap wood, and I'm going to take some English ivy green from Apple Barrel, and I'm just going to paint this piece of wood. And this piece of wood is going to be our little base for our bunny to stand up on. And off camera, to seal in my moss, I use my Mod Podge Glossy Spray. Now that everything has dried, I'm going to add my little wood piece to the bottom of the bunny, and I'll just use hot glue to apply that. And of course, I did have to add a bow, so I just added that just like a bow tie on the bunny. This little mossy bunny is now ready to display. He's perfect for a tiered tray or a small tablescape. Now let's make another cute bunny. This bunny, we're going to use the same 2 foam balls and those 2 biscuits. Once we've glued our 2 balls together, we're going to take our biscuits and some Ballet Slipper Pink Waverly chalk paint and paint those biscuits with the pink paint. Now I'm going to grab some of that thick yarn, and you can find this at any of the craft stores or at a fabric store. I get mine at Walmart. I'm only using it for crafting and not making blankets out of it, so I'm not sure what the quality is compared if you were knitting blankets with it, but it works great for crafts. Anyways, I'm just going to wrap that around my little biscuit here, and I'm just going to make a little bunny ear. And when I'm wrapping the yarn around the ear, I am going to leave the corner wood piece exposed because we're still going to need a way to insert these ears into the foam. Next, let's flip our ears over and add some yarn to the back side of the ears. And to do this, I just add a tiny bit of hot glue to the back of the biscuit and glue on some yarn. And now that we have our ears finished, let's go back to the body of the bunny. I'm going to just take the yarn and some hot glue, and we're just going to start wrapping this whole entire piece. Did find that it was easier to start from the base of the bunny, so that is what I am doing here, and I'm just going to do a quick little circle all the way around, and then we'll start wrapping. And I'm using that little makeup applicator instead of my fingers sometimes just to make sure I don't burn myself with the hot glue. Now before you wrap the top of the head, I did insert the ears to make sure that they were going to fit properly. And I actually ended up gluing them into place before I continued wrapping. So I insert them in, I pull them out, then I add a little bit of hot glue to the hole and reinsert the ears. And now that these ears are reinserted, I'm going to go ahead and finish wrapping around with the yarn around the ears and cover up that foam. Now that we have our bunny all wrapped, I'm going to add some embellishments. I'm going to start out with some polka dot ribbon here, and I'm going to just wrap that around the neck of the bunny and just tie a nice shoelace bow. Next, I went ahead and I'm just using up some of my old scrapbooking stuff. I had some paper flowers and some brads, but if you don't have those, just cut out a paper flower, or you don't even have to add this. This is just a quick embellishment I'm making. I'm just taking a few of the paper flowers. I'll add a brad in the center, and then we're just gonna hot glue this as an accessory to the bunny's ear. And now our fuzzy yarn bunny is complete, and I just love how this turns out. So I'd love to hear from all of you. Which bunny do you like better? Did you like bunny number 1, bunny number 2, or bunny number 3? Let me know in the comments below. And there you have it, 5 beautiful Easter projects. I hope you enjoyed today's crafts as much as I did. And if you're looking for more fun and creative craft ideas, be sure to check out our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, craft more, stress less.